So have you guys ever seen these Korean shows and see people putting objects in front of their faces? What are they doing? Well, in reality, they are literally measuring their faces, because they are flexing about how tiny their face is. And I don't know if you guys ever follow any Asian influencers, where they just tend to slap 100 filters on top of each other, making themselves unrecognizable. And I'm not exaggerating, because when you scroll on the TikTok of China, or follow other influencers from Thailand, Japan, or Korea, this is what you often see. And why do they do this? Because in Asian countries such as China, Japan, and Korea, having a small face is considered as a compliment.
It means that you're a true beauty.
We can forget about mewing and having an angular face. In Asia, this is the beauty standard. But when did this become the beauty standard, and why? And how did all of this obsession begin? And what exactly is the definition of beauty in Asia anyways? Most importantly, how far are people willing to go to get a small face? And in this video, we will be talking about all of the common methods used in Asia to achieve this beauty, going from something simple with hairstyles to strange home remedies, and gradually escalating to talk about the most extreme plastic surgeries. So before all of this crazy obsession began, in the past, having round faces were considered as the most beautiful in Asian countries. For example, in Korean history, it was believed that the round face of the moon symbolized a woman's fertility. And it was like that in Japan, China, and South Korea roughly around until the 1980s, where celebrities and the general population had a variety of face shapes and less defined features. But in recent decades, this has shifted almost into an obsessive preference for having a small face. And some explain that this trend has roots in the influence of foreign countries starting in the mid-20th century, which over time led to an idolization of certain traits associated with Western beauty standards. For example, during the rise of supermodels in the 1990s, back then a lot of supermodels had small faces and sharp features, which made it become popular in Japan to describe models and celebrities with good facial proportions. This made it become popular in Japan to describe models and celebrities with good facial proportions. From then on, a lot of Japanese women started adopting this trait as a beauty ideal, but this also simultaneously happened in South Korea. A Korean plastic surgeon explained that at first, what people did not want to have were wide cheekbones, and that became the first surgical area of focus in South Korea, where cheekbone reduction became really popular in the 1990s. And in the 2000s, the procedure was refined, and it evolved to become more extreme. And it became centered on reducing the chin as well. And with smaller, sharper chins and less cheekbones, their obsession with having a smaller face only became greater over time. And soon this became a beauty trend that spread to other countries through Korean television productions. This indirectly influenced Chinese aesthetics, for example, where people began wanting to get what they called egg-shaped faces, melon seed faces, or V-shaped faces. Well, a common thing that they all share is a narrow jawline and a sharp chin. And it is said that this trend had been further pushed forward by the actress Fan Bingbing. And by the mid-2000s, many young women began carrying her photo to the plastic surgeons, and they all said the same thing.
I want to look like this.
People say that nowadays it's common for most Chinese celebrities to pursue this facial type, which they claim flatters them on camera, as cameras tend to widen your facial features. And for this reason, the small face look became a defining characteristic among Chinese stars in the last decade. And actually, there's an even more exaggerated version of this face called the snake face, a name that apparently comes from a character in a late 1980s Chinese animated series who had a very pointy chin. Overall, this beauty standard is rooted in the idea that a smaller face appears more photogenic, youthful, and also more elegant. And this beauty trend applies to both genders, even though it's more commonly associated with women. And generally speaking, the measurements of what's considered as an ideal small face,
Well, only in certain Asian countries.
would be 18 centimeters or less in vertical length and 13 centimeters or less in width. However, determining whether or not a face is small is not just determined by the shape. There has to be a balance between the size and the placement of the facial features. And depending on this balance, the face can appear longer or smaller than it actually is. Facial features such as large eyes and mouth, a high nose, and a long neck can make the facial area look narrower. And this beauty trend, as we can see, is not limited to just the celebrities, because nowadays literally everyone on TikTok on China looks that way. Well, before we continue, I just wanted to say thanks for clicking onto this video. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up because it's free and it'll really help me out as a really small channel. And also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Height and body shape is also taken into account. Since the taller and the slimmer someone is, the smaller the face will seem. In Japan, people talk about hatoshin, which refers to the ideal body proportions, in which the body is 8 times the size of the head. A 2006 article about having a small face stated, Hatashin is the head to body proportion that most Westerners have, while Japanese heads tend to be larger in proportion to the body. And according to them, this type of body worked out well when Japanese people wore kimono and voluminous hairstyles, but it makes it harder to look elegant in Western clothing. And this behavior is reinforced by how celebrities nowadays are expected to meet these standards by having the faces of actresses or singers literally measured with a tape measure, then be praised, or simply compared to small objects, and be praised again. The Japanese singer Namiya Amuro particularly stands out in Japan as her face only measures as 17 centimeters in height and 14 centimeters in width, and she has been at top of small face celebrity rankings for decades, and is believed to have pushed the idea that girls with small faces look cute. And once having a small face becomes a beauty standard, the next step would be figuring out how to achieve it. So let's begin with the most basic, level 1. It starts with posing for photos. Some girls would make the peace sign or form a letter V with their fingers and place their head along the jawline to emphasize the shape. And another trick would be what the Japanese call the toothache pose, where people pose with one hand or both hands pressed against their cheek in a V shape. Hairstyle is also another strategy, such as the Japanese shakaku style, which means antennas, and it involves some 2 long strands of hair framing the sides of the face to create the illusion of a smaller face. And the thicker the strands are framing the face, the smaller the face appears. And this is particularly popular among schoolgirls, where a lot of schools require their hair to be tied up. And makeup also plays an important role, including techniques that aim to shorten the mid-face region, where the main features such as eyes, nose, lips, eyebrows, and cheekbones are located. The idea is that if these features are closer together and more compact, it creates the illusion of a smaller face with less space between them. And to get this look, we have to focus on the key points, such as low, softly arched eyebrows, extended slightly outwards to turn more the mid-face area into an eye area. For the eyes, the lower lid is defined, or the small pockets of fat under the eye are subtly emphasized. Well, honestly, it's not even subtly at this point. This is said to shorten the face by taking up more space in the eye area. And of course, contact lenses that enlarge the iris can also be used. And that is actually the key thing that makes the eyes look bigger. And as for the cheeks, instead of highlighting the cheekbones, they tend to highlight the middle like a doll to leave out less empty space in the center. As for the lips, the goal is just to make them look fuller. And as a final touch, some people even add a fake mole or a beauty mark just to take up some extra space on the face. And for a quicker last-minute resolution, there are makeup products like Fujiko Decado, a shadow applied along the hairline to slim the facial contour and once again create the appearance of a smaller face. It consists of dry powders that adhere to the skin, resist sweat, and are easy to apply to the forehead and hairline. It's also marketed to cover areas where your hair is simply really thin. But other than that, another option would be to use products that claim to shape or slim the face, such as facial builds, promising that the consistent use will result in a smaller looking face. There are also the massage rollers and also sauna masks that claim to use the power of sweat to slim down the face.
Honestly, we are just getting too creative nowadays.
But we're not done yet, because there are also many products aimed for facial exercises, marketed as a slimming or face reducing tool, literally a silicone mold placed in the mouth for 3 minutes a day to perform mouth movements, with the idea that regular exercises fight wrinkles and help to sculpt the face.
I think my boyfriend would appreciate me buying this product.
And there are also many other peculiar products intended to slim face, such as silicone pads that correct rounded or narrow shoulders, so we can all get a right angled shoulder.
And what does that have to do with the face?
Well, having a wider shoulder makes your face look smaller. And on the other hand, there are also a lot of beauty salons that specialize in what they advertise as face slimming correction, also known as kagao treatments. What they promise you is that they would use their bare hands to push your bones of your face, because your bones are actually not fused together and could be moved inwards for a smaller face. And they promise immediate results after one session. And other non-invasive or minimally invasive methods used include Botox to reduce the mediastinal muscles, which are facial muscles located on each side of the face, and play an essential role in chewing by raising the jaw and closing the mouth. And we can also use radio frequency energy to heat up the deeper layers of the skin and tighten them. Also thread lifting treatments to lift the skin around the jawline and create a slimmer appearance for the patients with wider faces. But honestly, the pressure to conform to beauty standards in Asia could be so intense, and so much social importance is placed on having a smaller face, that many people just directly opt for more permanent and radical changes, choosing plastic surgery. These surgeries, besides being done for vanity, are also kind of considered as an investment, as people believe that they can increase their chances of getting a good job, or simply marrying someone more financially successful by having a smaller face.
As in just being more beautiful in Asian beauty standards.
Because why exercise moisturize your face or be bothered to wear these devices when all you have to do is directly use a knife to cut your bones. However, different from the 80s or 90s, nowadays, plastic surgeries to conform to the beauty standards of Asia have become a lot more extreme. It's no longer just about the jawline. Basically, every single part of the face that you can think of that could be operated would be operated. And also bonus points when you can't eat for 1 month after the operation, or diets are restricted to just liquids for the mouth, because you literally can't open your mouth. So in addition to just getting a smaller face, you also get to lose weight. And although a lot of people opt to operate their faces completely, as in every single part of their facial features, spending $1 million, there are also some specific surgeries that are more popular than the others, such as the double eyelid surgery to create a fold that makes your eyes look bigger and also more expressive. In Japan, for example, even children that are under 18, even as young as 9, are seen doing this surgery. So that when you grow up, your colleagues wouldn't all of a sudden notice that you've done plastic surgery. Then you could be like, I'm all natural. And the other would be the nose surgery, to create a higher nasal bridge for more definition and symmetry. But the most extreme surgery that shocked me the most for a smaller face is honestly ear fillers. So ear fillers have become a trend in countries like South Korea and China because it's believed that when your ears are not visible from the front, the face looks flat and relatively large. So by adding these fillers to the ears become more visible from the front and more prominent, which gives your face a more three-dimensional effect and also makes your face look smaller. But of course, you're also presented with the option to do everything. This girl from China, for example, was just 16 and has already gotten over 100 plastic surgeries just to achieve the snake face. And she is now officially the queen of small face. And through these examples, we can see how in certain Asian countries, literally an entire market is formed around the pressure to have a small face. But honestly, if these methods just seem too costly or just too annoying to keep up with without even knowing whether or not it works, I guess the best method to get a small face
Would just be slapping 100 filters onto your face.
There are literally a ton of influencers that do that on social media nowadays. And they deform themselves so drastically that they seem so uncanny
that they almost look human.
And there are definitely a lot of other ways to get a small face that I've missed in this video. But what's the craziest method in your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, I hope you liked this video. Anyway, see you next week. Bye!